Films from Burma by Burmese directors screening inside or outside the country is not a regular occurrence. For a long time, under a succession of military dictatorships, there were few opportunities to make local films, let alone screen them. As the generals started to loosen some of their hold on civilian life, if only ceremoniously, a film school and film festival opened in Yangon. The effects have been impressive. The school produced 16 films last year and put on 30 screenings at 39 film festivals in 22 countries around the world. The Human Rights, Human Dignity International Film Festival, in its last edition, showcased 65 films with nearly half of those national productions, all screening to packed theatres. Most of the output in Burma so far has been short films, and most are focused on local stories. Directors have sought, for most, to chronicle their own experiences under military rule, in the countryside, in small villages, inside their homes. They start small scale, but the themes touched on are often wide-ranging: ethnic conflict, political repression, the early signs and actions of a nascent democracy, the fight for equal rights by women or one of Burma's 135 ethnicities. I knew about the Yangon Film School when I came to Burma at the start of this year to work on a documentary. The school was on our radar because it seemed to be the only setup in the country that was capable of providing sophisticated technical support. It also had an impressive output of homegrown films. I was intrigued, but our shooting kept us in Mandalay. So when the Frontline Club in London devoted an evening to films from Burma earlier this month, I went along. Susanna Lala Soe was one of the evening's special guests. The screenings included The Little Finger, which is partly a chronicle of her campaign as parliamentary candidate for the victorious NLD party in the 2015 elections. She won her seat. Documentary seems to be serving a particular function in Burma today, a kind of reckoning with past experiences and events that have not been allowed any expression until now. This may also be a way of trying to take control of and shape the future, with the first civilian government since 1962. But the military retains 25% of the parliament and holds key positions. How different, really, is Aung San Suu Kyi's government to the previous ones under the generals? I asked Susanna about this.
Yes, we have 25% of military representative in Ludo, in Parliament, but we still have the majority of the NLD MPs. So, and then recently, the state announced the roadmap for the future. It is including like amendment of the constitution. I doubt that military will agree and 100%, but we have to negotiate like a gentleman agreement, maybe something like that.
The evening's other special guest, Igor Blažević, explained to me how he set up the Human Rights, Human Dignity Festival and what filmmaking environment he had found in Burma originally and how fast it has evolved into something more sophisticated and ambitious.
The first year of the festival was really extraordinary because a lot of local they are not filmmakers, they are young guys with a camera, started, let's say, to make films, let's say, but the films have been combination of the YouTube, bad Myanmar television, and the total lack of the story, total lack of the concept, total lack of the understanding what they want to say, because they have never ever seen documentary film in their life. And then suddenly, really in just 2 years, let's say, we had a whole change of the approach to the filmmaking, and suddenly these young filmmakers have found all these untold stories, has jumped on them, have started to learn the film language, and started to make extraordinarily interesting documentary films.
The line from the NLD is that things will improve for Burmese filmmakers under civilian rule. Igor is concerned about censorship, but he doesn't see it as forbidding the development of film culture in Burma. He is focused on getting young directors to make their own films and show them in their country, creating a fabric for cinema and discussions around what is on screen. But how does all this play out on the ground? I wanted to know what the Yangon Film School directors themselves wanted to achieve, how they saw their work, what aspirations they had for the future, and how politics and aesthetics informed their decision to turn to filmmaking in the first place. So I arranged to speak to some of the most exciting students there, whose short films I was impressed by for their choice of subject, narrative strength and mise en scène. Soe Moe joined me over Skype from Kai Estate, where he has been living for much of his life, and was the location for his short film My Leg, about a workshop that makes artificial limbs for amputee victims of the regional conflict. It is this region that evidently inspires him in his filmmaking.
I'm an indigenous person who live in Karenni state, or Kaya state. You can call both Karenni or Kaya state. So I have been living in this state for over 20 years. I have been facing, civil war in my state. So every day, every night, you were hearing about fighting. You were hearing about bombing. I went to the border areas, Thai-Burma border area. So I had a chance to work with ethnic group.
Kin Myanmar and Shun Lei spoke to me directly from the meeting room at the Yangon Film School. They've been students there since 2011 and 2012. Our conversation shifted between the personal and the political as they told me about the inspirations for their films. Unfortunately, the sound quality in their interviews was quite poor. The filmmakers experienced some technical difficulties in Yangon, and we didn't receive most of the interview footage from their side.
One of my friends said, this is curator. She's also my assistant director at the time. This is her true story. So this is time when her father is in prison for the political.
Missing tells the story of a young girl whose father is taken as a political prisoner after the 1988 uprising. Quite a lot of films at the moment in Myanmar are based on personal experience. It seems that filmmakers are drawing a lot from personal experience.
My grandpa, he's a really political, and he, at the time, he's also, how can I say, a refugee in the US. So I really understand the political family.
I see.
In 2012, when we joined for the beginner courses, then we have to make a final film as a school project. So I was working as a director for the film called My Grandfather's Arm, which is about a woman living in this old colonial building with her grandpa, who was an important person in literature and also political as well. Her parents died when she was very young, so she grew up with her grandpa. And she is a writer now and also a university professor.
လွတ်လပ်ရေးမရခင်ချိန်တုန်းကဆိုရင်ဘိုလ်ချုပ်တို့ကိုအများကြီးကူညီပေးခဲ့တာပေါ့
လွတ်လပ်ရေးအတွက်တမတော်ဖွဲ့ဖို့ဂျပ
ရဲဘော်3ချိတ်ကိုလည်းနိုင်ငံခြားမှာစစ်ပညာတော်သင်သွားနိုင်အောင်တခြားလုပ်ဖို့ကင်ဘက်တွေနဲ့အတူကူညီပေးခဲ့ပြီးတယ်ဗမာလွတ်လာရေးအတွက်တမတော်ဖွဲ့ဖို့ဂျပန်ပြည်မှာကွယ်တကယ်ပဲအသက်နဲ့လဲလို့ဆင်းရဲဒုက္ခခံကကြံစီတယ်သူရဲကောင်းတဲ့ဘုံအောင်ဆန်းတဲ့အာဇာနည်တွေရဲ့
Censorship has not been a problem for them personally, but they did both pinpoint the conflict in Rakhine State involving the Rohingya as a particularly difficult area for filmmakers to work.
Now, the Rakhine and Rohingya, this is really difficult subject to touch now.
Yeah.
Because this is a really sensitive area. I just came back from the Rakhine State.
Oh, I see.
And we just filming all the some NGO training process.
Right.
So it is fine because we just go there and just training process. So it is fine. If you touch some subject more deeper, it will be a problem because I feel that this really is sensitive area.
Why do you think that conflict, more than the conflict in Shan State or Kachin State, why is Rakhine State more difficult and more controversial than the other conflicts?
I think it's because of the religion. Like they based on this religion, whether it's true or not. Like for Shan State or for Kachin State, they mainly based on the nationalism. And also there's another like immigration issue that we claim they are not ours. Yeah. Most of the people won't tolerate, all this is like different religious groups. When it comes to religion, everyone becomes extreme.
Yeah. When a nation's cinema industry has, in the case of Burma, been wiped out after a flourishing first wave, subsequent generations have little to build on. Young directors today do not have a gilded corridor of grand fictional masters to take inspiration from. Instead, they turn to the likes of Ozu, Kurosawa and Kiarostami. In Burma, it is a time of experimentation, technically and narratively. Young directors are drawing on what they know. Already this is exciting for viewers because their experiences have had little expression or public communication after decades of repressive rule. As the Yangon Film School directors work with autobiographical material, they have to give narrative to their lives, to objectify them, and as a result, see their personal stories as also part of a broader narrative of Burma's recent history and where it might be headed. These films are the earliest documents of this process, and they offer us a far more authentic, raw insight into the past and present in Burma than the pronouncements and promises of its new leaders.